sentencing. She's already admitted the violation. This is one where she was furloughed to Hope Center for treatment, and the proof would be that she almost completed the entire treatment program. But didn't. Almost, and left the program, Your Honor.
So what's that saying? Almost is but to fail, almost but to no avail, or something on that order?
So she has to be heard. As
What
to
do they say? Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, not in rehabilitation. All right. If you're ready to put on your proof, she's already been found guilty of violating her probation, so we're instead going to have a hearing on whether or not there should be any changes to the matter. So, state ready. All right, Ms. Kathy, or Mr. Talbot, rather, you may put on your proof.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, sorry.
Call your first witness. Ms. Kathy, if you'll come around, I'm going to ask you to step forward, raise your right hand, and be placed under oath.
All right. Ms. Kathy, please state your name.
Sharisa Kathy.
Okay. And in this case, you had already admitted violating the terms of your probation several months ago. Was that right?
A year ago, yes, sir.
A year ago? Okay. And then in the settlement of that, were you required to go attend Hope Center and complete that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you start Hope Center?
Right here is a critical legal pivot. The court isn't just asking, did you do it? They're establishing opportunity and access, which are key in probation violation cases. But here's the twist. Even if access existed, does that prove guilt or just possibility? Let me know what you think. Should possible ever be enough to send someone back to jail?
I was a leader. I was a first phase leader. I was in charge of all the new girls that they came in, and, you know, I was doing remarkable. I was doing great.
And were you regularly drug screened?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How frequently did the drug screens occur?
Usually once a month. Sometimes sooner, but for sure at least once a month.
Okay. And did you have, before February 2025, did you have any kind of behavioral infractions at all at Hope Center?
None at all. I was a impeccable resident.
So April to February, that's approximately, what, 10 months? Is that fair to say?
It was pretty close to 11, I thought.
All right. Did you progress through the program's phases?
Yes, I did all the phases. Remarkable. I mean, you know, I was in charge of all of the other girls that came in.
And
I poured into my flock, you know. I did exactly what they asked me to do.
did you feel that you had overcome your addiction at that point?
By far, yes, sir.
So you weren't using any drugs since you started? You hadn't used any drugs since you started
No, sir.
Hope Center in April of 2024?
No, sir.
All right. Then in February, at the end of the month, was there a urine drug screen that was conducted?
Yes.
Okay. And what were the results of that screen?
They said it was positive for methamphetamine.
Right. Did you take methamphetamine?
No, sir.
Okay. When you're at the program and in the phase that you were in at that time in February, what phase were you in?
I was in third phase.
Is that the last phase?
The last phase. I was about to graduate.
And there was this test, and your testimony was that you didn't use any methamphetamine.
Right. Yes, sir.
At that point in the program, could you have used methamphetamine? How would you get it? Was it possible? Are you unsupervised?
I guess it could have been possible because I did have passes because I was in third phase, so I could come and go as I pleased, you know, pretty much.
What kind of places would you go?
I mean, I would just go home when when I left, or my mom's house, because my dad had just passed away, so
How long would those passes be?
just no more than 8 hours.
Okay. So no more than 8 hours? you
Right.
Come back to Hope Center?
Yes.
Yeah, and were you residing at Hope Center at
Yes,
that
sir. Yes, sir.
And then after this test occurred, were you given an opportunity to restart Hope Center?
They wanted me to restart. They said I could either be dismissed because of my drug test or restart. And then restart would have been a whole another 11 months. And as I said, my dad had passed and my mom, is taking care of my 17-year-old daughter. And so I just didn't know how a whole another year for something that I didn't even do. So I called my probation officer. I asked her what I needed to do, and she said to, because I kept saying, well, can we take another drug screen, whether it be blood test or, send this to the lab, whatever I needed to do, I would pay for. And so my probation officer recommended to do a hair follicle test and turn myself into jail, and that's exactly what I did. And so I've been waiting.
Okay, so you did both those things?
Yes,
You turned
sir.
yourself into jail and you underwent a hair follicle test?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so you've been in jail, is it fair to say you've been in jail since the end of February till now?
Yes, sir.
In the Dixon County Jail?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the hair follicle test, what happened with that?
It was negative.
Okay. And so that was conducted by probation, that test?
Well, I did it at the DMA. I did it at DMA in Dixon.
Was that with the authorization of your probation officer?
They did tell me to do that. That's what she told me to do.
All right, and those results were given to your probation officer?
Yes, they were given to her, yes. I had them, emailed directly to her.
And no new violation has been filed against you?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. And I really wanted to, complete the Hope Center, but a whole nother year for something I didn't do was just really hard. So I just thought that I would take my chances with, and I have taken, classes while I've been in jail. I've been trying to better myself. I'm in the honor pod. I've also taken and completed the MRT class.
So to date, how long have you been clean from drugs?
19 months.
And do you intend to continue to be clean?
Yes, sir. I'm not going back. No, sir.
Do you think further drug treatment would do you any good?
I feel like I've found the Lord, and I've learned to, cope with my addiction, and I rely on Him to get me through everything. So I don't think it's really needed, but if you tell me that I have to, I will.
Tell me about the certifications that you've earned in jail and the classes you've taken.
I've taken, I was in an honor pod since June, and we take extra classes, so I've taken any classes that they have offered. I've done the MRT, domestic violence, anger management, parenting, and I've completed all of those. I might have more. And then I also did all the classes that were on the tablets that they offered as far as like plumbing and entrepreneurial. I've taken any class that I could get.
Is there any opportunity that's been afforded to you at the jail that you haven't taken advantage of?
No, sir. I've taken every opportunity that I have been able to get.
All right. So what was your original sentence? How long was that?
It was 5 years.
5 years? Okay. And are you asking that you just be reinstated at this point on the time you've already served?
I would like that.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Miss Kathy, you were actually furloughed to the Hope Center because you violated your probation.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I'm not going to get upset if you call me sir.
Sorry.
Okay. Now, your original sentence was a meth charge.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And you violated for testing positive for meth.
I totally understand that, where you're going with that, but yes.
So yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
And you went home on some weekend passes.
Yes.
Does anyone in your household use meth?
Not that I'm aware of, so that's why when I talked to my probation officer, I was like, could I be testing positive if someone was using, meth in the house? But I didn't think so, but I just wanted to make sure.
So you didn't tell your probation officer maybe it was your boyfriend's meth?
I didn't say that for sure that's what it was. I just said, could it be if someone was smoking meth in my house? And then I said, I don't know how that works. I just know I didn't physically do it. So I asked her, trying to be as honest as possible with her. And,
So
and I
does your
just said, could that
boyfriend,
be possible?
So-
And he said that he didn't do it. He doesn't do it. I can have my house tested for it. I just was trying to find out why my drug test was coming back positive when I had not done any.
now your drug screen also popped positive for buprenorphine?
Oh, no, it did not. That's the drug test that I took with the probation officer many months, like the year before. Because the one at the Hope Center did not have any buprenorphine in it.
Now, you did not complete the Hope Center.
No, ma'am.
And they gave you an opportunity to stay in the program, but you did not want to restart.
Restart for 11, and I'd have to go back 11 more months, do a whole nother year. So if I thought,
So you said no.
I said no because my mom.
So you said no.
I said no, yes.
You said you would do treatment if the court said so, but you already had that opportunity.
Yes, ma'am, I do realize that. But I also was under the interpretation that if I went to treatment and then wasn't happy with that treatment, then, I could be sent to another one. And I was not happy with them. I did my absolute best there. And then they didn't stand up for me when, they said that I had taken, a drug test and they didn't let me send it to the lab. They did not let me send it to the lab. They did not let me take another hair follicle test or take a drug test because I said, take me to the hospital and I can take a drug test, another one, let me do blood. And they said that they did not offer that. And so when I talked to my probation officer, she said that was my only option was to do the hair follicle test. And that's why I did it. Because, that's just like saying that you're guilty for doing something when you didn't do it.
You actually asked Hope Center if they would pour your drug screen into another cup to make sure that the cup wasn't defective, right?
I asked them to take me, those drug tests are free for them. They're free for them. I know that for a fact.
Hey, it's a simple question.
But
Did you
yes,
ask
I did.
them?
I did.
Okay. And they did. They poured your urine
Yes.
over into another cup,
Yes.
and that also showed that it was positive.
Yes. But a hair follicle test proved that it was,
Do you have that hair follicle test with you?
no, because I had it sent directly to my probation officer.
Okay. So it's not in evidence for the judge to consider, correct?
Would seem to be a conclusion on her part. Sustain the objection.
Nothing further, Judge.
Redirect. Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Albert, you may call your next witness.
M2.
Yes, I do.
Officer, would you please identify yourself?
Officer Angel Nyam with Tennessee State Probation and Parole.
And is supervision of Defendant Sharisa Kathy your responsibility?
No,
Okay. Did you have any interactions with Miss Kathy?
I supervised Miss Kathy up until about 2 years ago.
Okay. Did she come to you regarding her departure from Hope Center?
She contacted me instead of her supervising officer at the time about being kicked out of the Hope Center for testing positive for methamphetamine.
And did you talk to her about doing a drug test using a hair follicle examination?
I told her that she needed to immediately return to the jail. If it were me and I knew absolutely I had not used anything, I would get a hair follicle test along the way, but to definitely immediately return to the jail.
And as far as you know, Miss Kathy did immediately return to the jail, right?
Correct, after she got her hair follicle test.
And the results of that hair follicle test, were those sent to you?
They were.
Do you have an agreement with her?
May I please hand you some documents? And do you recognize this document?
Yes, that appears to be the results of the hair follicle exam.
Provided to you by email from the testing facility?
That's correct.
So Miss Kathy didn't send those to you?
No,
Okay. And the results of that show a negative across the board, is that right?
that's correct.
Your Honor, I move to make that an exhibit to the hearing today.
Mark it as-
Judge, I don't believe it has any authentication.
It is definitely hearsay, Your Honor. It is, however, something we ask the court to consider in the sentencing of the defendant.
I'm going to allow it to be introduced, and we'll consider it in the weight to be given to it.
Did you have any other interactions with Miss Kathy in February 2025 about her departure from Hope Center?
I don't believe I had any further interactions because she had gone directly to jail.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor. I'll pass the witness.
General Bryson, you have questions?
Did she speak to you at all about how she might have tested positive for methamphetamine?
Miss Kathy proposed to me that she had gone home to her house where her boyfriend was a methamphetamine user, and maybe she laid on the bed and had gotten in her system that way.
Nothing further, Judge.
Thank you, ma'am. You may sit down. Oh, your next witness. Does they have witnesses?
Judge, I believe